facing, it's nothing like what some people on the other side of the world are dealing with right now. We've tracked down the executive director of Canadian Lutheran World Relief. His name is Robert Granke, and he has recently spent some time in Jordan, visiting a refugee camp there. We've tracked him down in Jerusalem, and he joins us tonight on the Nighthawk. Robert, let me start off by asking you a little bit about your travels and where exactly you have been. It's a refugee camp in Jordan, correct? And then who is in the camp?
Well, I flew into Amman, Jordan yesterday, and I traveled about 100 kilometers north towards the Syrian border, about 70 kilometers from the border with Syria, to the Za'atari camp. It's home for 45,000 or so Syrian refugees today.
It's an enormous number of people who have fled the country, obviously, because of the violence that's going on there. Jordan is no stranger to having to house people who have fled other parts of that of the world, of that area. How does Jordan manage to sustain that?
Well, you're exactly right. Jordan is a very generous country in receiving, I think it's more than 1 million refugees from around the world for a variety of reasons. They do this with support from the international community, from a variety of sources. In fact, yesterday, just as an example, we had a school opening for 3,500 young people. The schools were supported by the government of Bahrain. And there are a variety of international governments and NGOs and various agencies that are helping with Syria. There are about 2.5 million Syrians that have been displaced from their homes in Syria at the moment, and the UN is predicting that if this fighting continues, that it could get as high as 4 million people leaving the country altogether.
This is on the heels of, who knows, at least we would think a couple of million Iraqis over the last decade or so who have also been displaced, and so that part of the world is seeing more, we used to call displaced persons, which is an expression, a post-Second World War expression that a lot of people heard a lot of. We're seeing more of that now than perhaps at any other time. So in terms of the camps that you have seen, what kind of resources are there, and how well are these people being cared for, given that burden?
Well, I'd say that the 45,000 who are there right now are managing reasonably well. They're being cared for through, again, a number of sources, but the numbers in the camp are expected to increase. Actually, the capacity of this camp is up to 80,000 people, so there's still a little bit in the camp. Are without very much in the way of necessities that will keep them going through the winter. So they're living in tents. They don't have very good footwear. They don't have very much in the way of clothing that will keep them warm. And it's not exactly a Winnipeg kind of winter, but it's definitely below the freezing mark at night, and these people need some assistance. So that's the biggest apprehension we have right now, is getting them ready for the winter.
What are the people in these camps telling you about their experiences? What's it like for them right now? Are they still kind of in a state of shock at having to run away from their own country?
Oh, absolutely. We were fortunate. We sat in tents and listened to some families tell their stories. And for the most part, Jeff, these are people who have been part of the middle class in Syria. They are small business people. We met with people who were involved in the law profession. They were involved as painters and skilled tradespeople. And they basically had to leave with just what was on their back and what they could grab and take with them. And they were basically, from what they said to us, given an ultimatum that they had to either fight and join the regime, and that would include basically killing people in their neighborhood, which they refused to do, and they took a risk and left and crossed the border. So they're dealing with all the trauma of that, and having seen family members killed in the process. So these are people who have really had their lives, significantly disrupted, but they're really trying to find a new way forward.
What do they see their future looking like? Are they waiting out the Assad regime, hoping to go home?
Well, for the most part, I think, from my experience, camps of this nature, unfortunately, do last longer than one would have anticipated. So I think they'll be there for a while. They'll be there for a while. So they're trying to make the best of it. And, this school is an example of life getting on with things, and they can try to find a new way forward somehow. But ultimately, they want to return to their home. And, Mr. Assad is the person that's getting in their way, and they really do hope there's some kind of an international effort to try to, get this regime out of there and put in some form of a new democracy in in Syria.
But they understand that they could be waiting some time for that to happen.
Yes, I think so. They would be concerned about that. I think these people have been through significant things, so they're just happy in many respects to be alive and to be housed in an environment in a country where they can find a new way to make a new life for themselves. But they're also very pragmatic and realistic at the same time.
And so it's stay where you are for these people in the camps in Jordan, or hope that you can go home someday. Are there other options that they're considering? I mean, would they move to another country where they could maybe pick up their lives in a more orderly way? Kind of start plying their trades and that sort of thing.
It's possible. There's actually a very innovative system in Jordan where the Jordanian government has provided an opportunity for some of the residents of Jordan to receive and host, quote unquote, the refugees from Syria. So they receive them literally into their homes and help them to integrate and to spend their time there, but also make use of their skill set. And then I think some of them, although they didn't push too hard on this, some of them do look for a chance to maybe go to another country. And of course, being Canadians, Canada happened to come up in the discussion as well.
What did the recent conflict between Israel and Gaza impact on this situation?
I would say indirectly. Probably, in my view, the most significant piece is that the international community was clearly preoccupied for very good reasons with what was happening between Israel and the Hamas militants. But I think that what they said to us was, that was is an important issue, but please not let the world forget about us Syrians who are still struggling, and they ultimately want to see a long-term resolution so they can return to their homes and get on with their lives in Syria.
So what's CLWR's role there, and what would you like the rest of the world to know and to do?
Well, keep this issue before all, Canadians, Manitobans, Winnipeggers, and we are issuing an appeal now where if people go to our website, they can have a chance to donate to this. We're providing as an example that $200 will provide warm winter clothing and winterizing their tent shelters and providing heaters for the family members. We're going to assist on the ground through our partners, and we, as they do, we hope this is a very temporary situation and one that will resolve itself, and that these people can go back home someday.
Robert, thanks very much for being with us tonight, and very much appreciate your time.
Yeah, pleasure. Good to talk to you.
Robert Granke is Executive Director of Canadian Lutheran World Relief. We tracked him down tonight in Jerusalem. You're listening to The Nighthawk on 680 CJOB.
Now is the time